The boreal wind, a banshee wailing its mournful song, whipped across the snow-laden plains, mirroring the tempest raging within Kullervo's soul. Born under a sky choked with malevolent clouds, his life was a tapestry woven with the darkest threads of fate. His father, Kullervo, a man forged in honor and valor, fell victim to the treachery of his own brother, Unveil. Consumed by ambition and a thirst for power as black as a moonless night, Unveil butchered Kullervo and seized his lands. Kullervo, a babe then, was ripped from his mother's frantic grasp and thrust into the cruel servitude of his uncle. Years bled into one another, each sunrise a fresh brand upon Kullervo's spirit. Unveil, a sadist who reveled in cruelty, delighted in tormenting the young boy. Kullervo, his spirit simmering with a potent cocktail of hate and festering resentment, became a storm brewing just beneath the surface. His defiance, a flickering ember in the desolate wasteland of his existence, manifested in fiery temper and a spirit that refused to be completely broken. He was a ticking time bomb, the clock counting down to a cataclysmic explosion fueled by years of pent-up rage. One bleak morning, the inevitable happened. Unveil, reveling in his usual brand of barbarity, pushed Kullervo beyond the precipice of sanity. The boy, no longer a boy but a man sculpted by hardship, lashed out. In a frenzy as wild as a winter blizzard, he unleashed a maelstrom of violence. Unveil, caught off guard by the sudden eruption, met his end at the hands of his nephew. Yet, even in the supposed triumph of revenge, there was no solace. Kullervo, stained with the blood of his tormentor, felt only a hollowness that echoed within him like a vast, empty tomb. With a heart burdened by the weight of his act, Kullervo fled. He journeyed for what felt like an eternity, the frozen landscape mirroring the desolation within. Hunger gnawed at his belly, but it was the gnawing emptiness in his soul that truly threatened to consume him. Finally, after days that bled into a blurry expanse of time, he stumbled upon a familiar valley, the place he once called home. A flicker of hope, fragile as a butterfly's wing caught in a winter gale, ignited within him. Perhaps, just perhaps, his mother still lived. He found her, a frail woman with eyes clouded by a grief so profound it seemed to have etched permanent lines upon her face. But his joy, a fleeting spark in the suffocating darkness, was extinguished as quickly as it flared. His beloved sister, kidnapped during the attack that stole his father, was nowhere to be found. The crushing realization slammed into him: his family was fractured, scattered like shards of a broken mirror by the winds of misfortune. Days turned into weeks as Kullervo searched tirelessly for his sister. The once vibrant valley, now shrouded in a perpetual twilight of despair, echoed with the emptiness of his calls. One day, while wandering through a sun-dappled forest, a place that seemed untouched by the frost that had choked his life, he encountered a maiden of breathtaking beauty. Her laughter, like the tinkling of a crystal stream, momentarily soothed the tempestuous sea within him. Drawn by an invisible force, a force as powerful as the undertow of a churning sea, Kullervo found himself captivated by her. Their connection bloomed in stolen glances exchanged under the watchful gaze of the ancient trees and whispered promises shared beneath the cloak of a star-studded night. But fate, a cruel jester with a penchant for twisting the knife, had another turn in store. On a moonlit night, as Kullervo gazed into his love's eyes, he saw a reflection of himself, the same defiant set of the jaw, the same haunted depth in the irises. A wave of dread washed over him, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. The truth, cold and undeniable, dawned upon him: this woman, the woman he had fallen for, was his sister. The revelation shattered them both. His sister, unable to bear the weight of the taboo they had unwittingly violated, fled into the night. Her tear-stained face, etched with a despair that mirrored his own, became the last image Kullervo held of her. The next morning, he found her lifeless form by the river, a victim of their tragic love and the relentless cruelty of his destiny. With a roar that echoed through the valley, a sound that sent shivers down the spines of even the most hardened hunters, Kullervo felt his sanity teeter on the brink. Grief, a serpent coiling around his heart, squeezed the life out of him. It morphed into a white-hot rage, a fire that threatened to consume him whole. Unveil's death, he realized, had not brought solace. It had merely been the first act in a play of unending suffering. Now, fueled by a desperate need for retribution, he turned his wrath towards the rest of Untamo's family. He spent days meticulously planning his revenge. Nights were filled with feverish dreams of his sister's lifeless form and the echoing laughter of his tormentor. Each sunrise brought a renewed resolve, a cold, steely glint in his eyes that spoke of the storm brewing within. Disguised as a peddler, Kullervo infiltrated Untamo's remaining kin. He weaved tales of exotic wares and spun intricate lies, all the while observing their routines, mapping out their movements with the precision of a seasoned hunter. He became a phantom, a ghost haunting the edges of their lives, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. One night, under the cloak of a new moon, as the unsuspecting family slumbered, Kullervo put his plan into action. He moved with the deadly grace of a wolf, a predator stalking its prey. Fire erupted, engulfing the wooden structures in an inferno that danced with an eerie orange glow against the obsidian sky. Screams pierced the night, chilling cries for help swallowed by the crackling flames. Kullervo, a spectre in the flickering light, moved from room to room, a whirlwind of vengeance. Each life he claimed was a notch on a tally etched deep within his soul. Blood stained his hands, the metallic tang heavy in the smoke-filled air. Yet, even as the last vestiges of life in Untamo's bloodline sputtered out, a hollowness echoed within Kullervo. He expected catharsis, a release from the years of pent-up rage, but there was none. Only a chilling emptiness, a void that no amount of violence could fill. As the embers of the pyre died down, casting long, skeletal shadows across the ravaged landscape, a crushing realization dawned upon him. He had become the monster he swore to destroy. Driven by a morbid curiosity, he returned to the ruins of his childhood home. Perhaps, just perhaps, his mother had somehow survived the carnage, but the house stood silent, a chilling testament to another cruel twist of fate. His mother, unable to bear the weight of her losses, had succumbed to grief. Alone, utterly broken, Kullervo looked at the sky, a canvas now painted with the pale hues of dawn. The world around him seemed to blur, the weight of his existence crushing him into the dust. The taste of ashes filled his mouth, a bitter reflection of the life he had consumed in his quest for vengeance. With a final, anguished cry that echoed through the desolate valley, Kullervo sank to his knees. The once defiant fire in his eyes had been extinguished, replaced by a dull ache of despair. He raised his blood-stained sword, the same blade that had taken so many lives, to his own throat. In that moment, suspended between life and oblivion, a single tear traced a path down his weathered cheek. It was a tear not for himself, but for the innocent lives lost in the maelstrom of his vengeance, a silent apology to the gods who had turned a blind eye to his suffering. As the sun peeked over the horizon, casting its golden light upon the valley, Kullervo took his own life. His tragic story became a cautionary tale whispered on the wind, a chilling reminder of the devastating cost of vengeance and the cruelty fate can weave into the lives of even the most innocent.